Donald Trump really is quite a specimen, isn't he? He there are times we come across stories where I feel like, okay, number one, nobody's gonna bat an eyelash, nobody's gonna care. But number two, if this was literally anybody else, this would be a huge story. Because he just gets away with stuff now because we're so used to him being so absurd and so over the top and so extreme that unless he sort of tops himself, then people are just like, yawn, that's Trump. Trump's just being Trump. Okay, so look at this, guys. Trump compares his sacrifices to those of fallen troops in self-indulgent Memorial Day rant. So here's what he said. This was on Memorial Day. But especially to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the country they love, and to those in the line of a very different but equally dangerous fire, stopping the threats of the terrorists, misfits, and lunatic thugs who are working feverishly from within to overturn and destroy our once great country, which has never been in greater peril than it is right now. We must stop the communists, Marxists, and fascist pigs at every turn. Make America great again. So I actually skipped the first part by accident here, but it was, quote, Happy Memorial Day to all, but especially to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the country they love, and to those in the line of a very different but equally dangerous fire. And then basically he goes on to describe, that's me. Because I'm the one who's standing up to the terrorists, the misfits, the lunatics, the thugs, who are working to overturn and destroy our once great country. The list at the end is really something special. He says, we must stop the communists and Marxists. Okay. A little redundant there, right? And then fascist, quote, pigs at every turn and make America great again. I would love to know the inner workings of his mind for the fascist pigs line, because there are many people who would be like, are you saying you're going to stop yourself? Is that what you're going to do? Or does he, when he says fascist pigs, is he referring to like, I think DeSantis is a fascist pig? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Or I think what's most likely, guys, is that he puts communist, Marxists, and fascist pigs, but in his mind, he's basically saying, like, anybody on the left who vehemently opposes him, or even just milquetoast Democrats who vehemently oppose him, they're also fascist pigs. I think that's how he would look at it. And he'd probably put the deep state, anybody who's against him in the deep state, in the fascist pigs bin. Jesus Christ, man. But he's very clearly, I mean, they're not wrong. The title of this article is not wrong. The argument is clearly, hey, shout out to all the troops, but also, spare a thought for people like me who are fighting a battle equally as difficult. Oh my God. He literally says equally. Equally dangerous fire. So it's equally dangerous fire that he's going through. One of the funniest parts of this is for my entire life, there's been an argument from the right that the left embraces a victim culture and a victim narrative. And look, to be fair, in some instances, I think that is true. But the right does it all the time as well, man. All the time. And in many ways, you see, like, there's a mirror image going on here. So we see it with the whole, the social justice warrior movement that was very up in arms over unfair depictions of women in video games or whatever. Like, they were very loud, very aggressive, and they wouldn't hesitate to boycott or to protest. And then now you're seeing what are basically like right-wing social justice warriors who want to boycott any company for any infraction, even if they just sell like a rainbow product. It's like, oh, how dare you boycott. And that's where we are. So you have this rising authoritarianism, the rise of the right-wing social justice warriors. And here you have Trump embracing that victim narrative. I mean, he's always embraced this victim narrative, but this is really next level. Like, he's, think of the fallen troops, but also think of me. Think of me, because I am fighting an equally dangerous war. Yeah. Politically vying with Chuck Schumer, I'm sure, is just like taking machine gun fire to the face. Thanks, Don. Great comparison. The final point that I should make about this is, man, he's got some nerve, because he's doing this whole, like, Memorial Day message at the same time he's hosting a tournament from the Saudi-backed Live Golf League at Trump National Golf Club. Now, remember, when we first learned about this deal, you know who was front and center in fighting Trump on this? 9/11 victims' families. They were front and center. They were sort of like, hey, how dare you? You're a former president of the United States, and you're legitimizing and sports washing the record of Saudi Arabia when Saudi Arabia is responsible for 9/11, which is why our family members are dead. So at the same time he's doing like the Memorial Day thing and talking about our troops, he's hosting the Saudi golf event, which is just gross, man. Just gross. Again, I remember a time back in 2015, 2016 when Trump would basically call the Saudi government terrorists and say they did 9/11. And now, since there's a financial relationship, these guys are great, these guys are wonderful, these guys are incredible. I mean, it really is low. I mean, he shouldn't host these tournaments at all, but if you're going to host it, doing it on Memorial Day. And I'm not one for these sentimentally type arguments, but doing it on Memorial Day, man, that ain't right. And I think the 9/11 victims' families are the ones who are most outraged by this, as they should be. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.